Welcome to class. We are going to be focusing on twisting our body around and balancing a lot. And balance, as I'm sure you'll agree, comes with a sense of trust, which is the theme of what we've been working on towards our Eka Para Koundinyasana 1. And it's all going to come together in this class. And so I want you to simply begin and settle into this class. You only need your yoga mat, but with a sense of trust. And you're invited, if you want to go ahead and face the front of your mat and pull your knees into your chest and maybe even give yourself a little hug. If you like, you could even bring your forehead down to your knees or just rest your chin on your chest. And you're invited to perhaps just think back to a time in your life when things were a little bit more challenging than you would like. You were pushed outside your comfort zone. And whether you trusted yourself in the moment or not, looking back, you realized that you had within you the strength to get through it. It doesn't matter if this event is something worth writing a book about or if it's something really mundane and everyday. Because the thing is, trust in ourselves, it shows up in all aspects of life. Trusting ourselves is, I think, the first step to then trusting others. It's like self-love. We have to love ourselves before we can love others. The same goes for trust. And then trusting the process of life. That things will always work out, and that the challenges that we face are just there to make us stronger. That this inner strength that you carry within you at all times can perhaps even give you a sense of adventure as you go into your next challenge, instead of a sense of anxiety. A sense of curiosity about the unknown, rather than a need to control and find out all the answers. And let this feeling of trust in yourself, this knowing that you can handle whatever challenge comes your way, fill you up. As you take another deep breath in through the nose and out. And you can lift your head up slowly, open your eyes, and place your right hand back behind you and just hug your knees with your left hand, gently twisting around. And you can just breathe here. Maybe look with your eyes over towards the right. Just stay here and breathe, and as it feels comfortable, maybe even start to add a few little circles just through the rib cage. And circling in the other direction as you breathe, maybe finding a little bit more depth in your twist as you start to just open up the thoracic spine. And then coming back to center, twist around the other way and repeat. Use your eyes to help guide your neck and then the rest of your spine a little bit deeper into this twist. And as it feels comfortable, very small, very gentle, very slow, add those little thoracic circles, just pressing your breastbone forward and to the side, back and to the other side. And going in the other direction, maybe holding that gaze with your eyes all the way over to the left. Good, coming back to center, we're going to twist over to the right. Place your right palm flat though, and start to just lean a little bit of weight into it. Just starting to warm up the wrists and maybe grip the mat and just be like, ugh, like get those fingers working. And can you just lift the right leg up? You can hold on to the calf or the shin or the foot, ankle, whatever works for you. But we're going to add a few little ankle circles as we hold this twist and breathe. And pause that ankle circle, holding the sole of the foot pointing over to the left side of you. So you're opening up through the outside of the right ankle. Maybe even add a little bit of a back bend. Good, release all of that, come back through center, again twist over to the left, place a little bit of weight into that left hand, maybe grip the mat, lift the left foot up, use your right hand to help hold it up, just keeping it nice and gentle right now as you add some ankle circles. And if you're like me, your left ankle is just a little bit slow. So maybe just glance at the ankle if you need to. But then once it's circling, you can use your eyes, taking them over to the left to facilitate this twist. Just building on a few different movements as you now hold your ankle in that inversion. So opening up through the outside of the left ankle. Maybe add a slight back bend to your spine. This is just perhaps getting a tiny bit into the sural branch of the sciatic nerve. All right, and then come back through center, hold here. Can you lift up nice and tall with your knees pointing up? So abdominals and back muscles are gonna have to start to switch on, and bring your palms together. Press your elbows away, so protract to the shoulders, but it's gonna come just from the shoulders because we're gonna add a little back bend, lifting the elbows up. So keep pushing the elbows away from you as you lift them up. Combining shoulder protraction with spinal extension as you breathe. And I know this is challenging, but just hopefully switching on some of those deep core muscles, shoulder muscles. Gently press the palms into each other. Push the elbows towards each other. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, hold on to that protraction of the shoulders. So pushing the elbows forward as you twist around to the right, finding a twist here. And then take that right hand down. Keep the left elbow on the outside of the right leg as you lift the right leg up, but just try and do it hands-free. The leg does not need to go straight, but can you even now start to just lift the hips up and lower back down? Let's do 2 more, just lift it up and lower. Last time, lift it up, and if you like, maybe even rock a little bit, bringing the hips closer to the wrist and then closer to the left leg, the left foot, just warming up those wrists a little bit more in our twist. Remember, you can always, if you feel your twists are really stiff, you can always flick your eyes over to the right, see if that helps a little bit. All right, we'll lower everything back down. Come back through center again, palms together, bend the elbows, push the elbows away from you as you pull them towards each other. And lift them up towards the ceiling. So finding that extension through the spine. Take an inhale. Hold on to the protraction of the shoulders as you twist to the left, getting the right elbow as much as possible to the outside of the left leg. Once you're there, lower the left hand down. Keep pressing the elbow into the leg as you lift the left leg up. And then just shift your weight into the left hand and the right foot to lift the hips up and lower, just kind of getting a little bit of a rock, warming up into this movement a couple times, and then we'll hold with the hips lifted. And again, just rock the hips nice and slow to begin. Towards the right foot and the left hand. Already balance, challenging our balance a little bit as well. Whew, all right. Come back through center as you lower everything back down. And we're gonna just keep on building onto this. So spin it back around to the right, lower the left hand down. Take the right foot up, lift the hips up. And now this time, can you look down towards your right hand, and then keeping the contact between your leg and elbow, can you lower the left hand down? And then just lean over your fingertips a little bit and take it back. Maybe keep the hips lifted as you lower the foot down, lower the left hand down. Reach the right hand up as you twist around. Maybe make contact with the leg if you need to, lower the hips on the way, but then lift it all back up. Look down towards that left hand, slowly keeping contact between the leg and the elbow. Lower the right hand down, shift some of your weight towards the fingers, and then just back again. Coming back through center, hips can go down or maybe keep them lifted. We're just gonna keep moving back and forth a few times here. So actually building our way up to our Eka Para Koundinyasana 1 already. from this reverse tabletop. So just keep twisting around and make your way into it bit by bit, just working. Maybe your feet stay down, maybe you're already doing the full arm balance, whatever works for you. Let's do one more. Taking it slow, one little movement at a time as you make contact with the hips up off the mat, the outside of your right leg resting on that left elbow. Trust yourself and trust your fingers gripping into the mat to lean more weight over those fingers, and maybe you even find a little bit of air time with your legs. Arms are really warming up now, I know. One more time on the left side. So really press the elbow into the outside of the thigh. Adjust your hands as you need to, but take a moment, maybe with most of your weight still back at your feet, to remind yourself that you can trust yourself, you can trust those fingers as you lean forward, not down, still with an upward momentum, to maybe find a little bit of airtime lifting those feet up. Good job. And come back through center, roll it down onto your back, hugging your knees into your chest for a moment, then place the feet flat and maybe even give those hip flexors a little massage. If you like, pressing the low back into the mat, squeezing your glutes to lift the sit bones up towards your knees. Find a little bridge pose as well. Pressing down through the heels so that you get a little activation through the posterior chain. All right, when you're ready, lower back down from that bridge pose if you're there. And take a moment with your eyes closed, with your hands resting on your chest and on your belly, to take a few breaths and come back to that sense of trust. And remember, when we are practicing trust, it's really not about expecting everything external in your life to go in your favor. It's not about luck. It's not about controlling other people or controlling the situation. Trust is about knowing that you have the inner strength, the resilience, perhaps the patience, that you can handle whatever happens. It comes from within. And it allows us to relinquish a sense of needing to control the situation that we're in, to control other people, all these things that we really have no control over anyway. Redirect our focus to ourselves. All right, take another deep breath in. Pull your knees into your chest, get a little bit of a roll going. If this feels uncomfortable on your back, I invite you to just give it a try, rolling on one side of your back or the other as well. And then however you want to get there, just come all the way up to stand towards the front of your mat. And you can bring your feet hip-width distance. You can have them together, whatever feels most comfortable for you at this point. Take a deep breath in, lengthen the crown of your head high towards the ceiling. And as you exhale out, ground down through your feet, finding a sense of stability from the ground and Mother Earth beneath you. Hold out your right thumb and lift it up over your head as you keep your gaze on your thumb. So focal point on your thumb, lift the right thumb up overhead and twist to bring it back behind you. And can you hold on to your gaze on the right thumb as you slowly start to shift some of your weight into your left foot? And maybe lift the right heel up, just have the toes down. Keep most of your weight on your right foot as you bring the arm up and over, holding your gaze on that thumb as you bring it back to where you started. Again, take it up and over, most of your weight still on that left foot, and up and over back to center. And one more time, up and over to the back. Now, feel free to look anywhere. You don't need to keep your gaze on your thumb as you shift your weight entirely into that left foot, bringing the right knee to your chest. Hold on to the right knee with your left hand. Take a few breaths. Remember, just use your gaze wherever you need it to be to help you balance at this point. And we're going to take the right arm up and over to the front as we step the right foot back into a revolved lunge. Extend the arms away from each other. So left arm reaching back behind you, right arm reaching forwards. Lift your right hip up. Make sure it's not sinking as you take a few breaths here. Finding a nice openness through the front of the right thigh. Take another inhale, and on your next exhale, just lower the right hand down, reaching the left hand up towards the ceiling. Come onto the outside of the right foot and heel toe your left foot around towards the center of your mat, so you can come into this like weird side plank thing and lower your hips down towards the mat. Extend your left hand over your right foot, just finding a nice stretch through the outside of the right side body. And from here, a little bit of a weird move, but can you just lift up just enough to start bending that right knee and place the right knee down, and then just crawl your hands however you need to bring your weight onto the right knee so your legs are in this weird crossed position. Bring your hands to your hips and give me a few cat-cows here through your pelvis. And then pause in that cat position. So tucking your tailbone, pointing the tailbone down towards that right knee. And maybe you stay here and you can even lean your head, your left ear towards your left shoulder. And what we're hopefully getting into a little bit here is the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve, which kind of helps with any IT band discomfort. So we'll give that IT band a little bit more TLC later, but if you want to, can you add on just little hip circles? So kind of like the thoracic circles we did at the beginning in our twist. This time though, we're circling the hips like your tailbone is a spoon and you're stirring your coffee or your chai latte or whatever your drink of choice is. All right, then keeping the legs where they are, just lower your hand back down to the mat, lowering the hips down, take the left foot and stack the leg on top of the right. So we're in this nice kind of side stretch, letting the hips sink down towards the mat, knees bent and stacked on top of each other. Can you lift the hips up and lift that left leg up and lower the knee down and the hips down? And repeat that for 3, 2, 1. Lovely. Keep the hips low as you lower the left hand down and just roll over into an upward facing dog with the knees down, heels pulling towards the butt. Come up out of the back bend just for a moment as you squeeze the sit bones towards each other, finding that sort of cat shape through the pelvis, and press the sit bones forward towards the wrists. Press your chest forward and lift the chin up. So just looking for a nice openness through the front of the thighs and through the chest, as opposed to necessarily going all entirely in the low back. All right, straighten the knees with the toes tucked under, press the hips back, and lift up into a bent knee downward facing dog. So first downward facing dog, just move into it nice and gingerly. Press your shoulders towards your ears to allow those shoulders to open and the chest to press back towards your thighs. Knees stay nice and bent, maybe pedaling the feet. And make sure you're breathing. All right, from this downward facing dog, come to stillness. Keep the left knee bent, the left heel lifted as you reach the right leg up. And pause here. And if it's comfortable, maybe just in this tiniest little movement, start to very gently straighten and bend that left knee, or maybe lower and lift the heel, just getting into that the back of the left leg a little bit, nice and gently. Take another inhale and pause where it feels good. As you exhale, look forward towards your hands, rock the shoulders forward, bring your right knee over towards the left elbow and hold. Take a breath here and exhale. Another inhale. Exhale, come back to your 3-legged down dog. Maybe hop to bring that left leg an inch or two closer towards your hands, and again bring the right knee, cross your body over towards the left elbow. This time add a little chaturanga, bending the elbows, face reaching forward towards the front of the mat, and then take it back one more time to your 3-legged down dog. If you feel you need to adjust this
position between your foot and your hands, do so. And one more time, we're gonna rock forward, right knee to the left elbow, or maybe up towards the armpit. Bend both elbows straight to the back of the mat as you lean forward, creating a little shelf for your right knee and thigh to rest on. And maybe you even find a little arm balance. For me, I have to bring my right hip to my right elbow. But we're gonna just stay in this position and lower the right foot down. So it comes down between the hands and rise up into a skandasana, a little side lunge. Bring your hands down to the floor. Keep your hips low as we just shimmy over, bending into the left knee, straightening the right. Try and keep the sole of your foot down so we get that nice stretch through the outside of the ankle. This really helps all the way up the outside of the left leg. And shimmy it back over to the front of the mat, into the right knee, and over to the back of the mat. This time, crawl your hands all the way to the back of the mat, pointing behind you, and hold this little twist here. So flick your eyes over to the left and notice if that helps you go a little bit deeper into this twist. Maybe you even play around if you feel comfortable to, bending the elbows a little bit, maybe lifting the hips up. Play around with just thinking about it at this point, perhaps. Finding a little arm balance here, okay? We're gonna come back to this, so no worries if you don't feel ready just yet for an arm balance. But for now, crawl your hands back towards the front of the mat and spin on that left toe so that everything is aligned facing the front of the mat. Crawl your hands forward towards the right knee as you allow the knee to go over the ankle. If that just really makes you uncomfortable, you can adjust. But it's nice just to let the knee bend a little bit more than 90 degrees. And we'll find a little openness through the hips here. Feel free to adjust, move around, wiggle around, make this feel right for you as you just continue to kind of move in your body, swirl around in your body, get this feeling of being in your body so that you can listen to the wise words of your body. Because sometimes we can't trust our minds, but we can always trust our bodies. Shift the hips back though now. Straightening that right leg as much as possible. It's okay if it's bent. Can you bring your hands over to the right side of you? Keeping the right palm at least down. You can lift the left arm up. Can you, this is a bit of a weird one. We're gonna just kind of move into that lunge, shifting the hips forward. You're probably going to find a point where you can't go any further, and so at that point, with the left toes tucked under, lift the left knee up to find a little bit of space to see if you can push the hips forward through where you're going, and then take it back. Push them forward and take them back. One more time. Push forward. Take it back to your half monkey pose. Lower that left knee down. Take your left hand down as well and hold here. Maybe add some little circles through the ankle. Or if you need to, at this point we're gonna add a little sensory input. So just a nice gentle little scratch, little rub all along that IT band from the outside of the knee all the way up to the hip. Especially if you have bothersome IT bands. Really nice to add some sensory input before we then add some pressure. So if you're ready, from here we're going to play around once again with another entry into our Eka Pada Koundinyasana 1. So bending the elbows, tuck the left toes under to lift that left knee up, get your hips high enough to lower down onto the shelf that you create with your upper arms, leaning forward. So imagine there's a little ant and you're trying to keep your face close enough that you can see it, and you're just leaning forward, and maybe you find, ooh, a little balance, all right? No worries if not. We're gonna come back to that. So for now, lift that left hand back up. One more time, we're gonna lift the left knee up and push the hips forward. This time though, can you slide that left foot forward to meet the right? and then lower the left hand down. Reach the right hand up, bend the elbow as you lift the left knee up. See if you can push the elbow into the outside of that left thigh. Lower the left hand down just like we did in our warm-up at the beginning. Start to, again, find your little ant friend, but lift up away from it. Remember, we don't want the ant to bite us as you're watching it, leaning forward. And maybe, you find a little arm balance here. We're just gonna come back down. Try and come down so that your right foot is underneath you and the left leg is pointing forwards. We're just gonna make our way into a little half Hanuman, this time with the left leg forward. So again, just here in this half Hanuman, you can add a few little ankle circles. Actually can be really helpful, even with the left knee bent, to add a little bit of cat-cow movement, especially through the hips. All right. And we're going to crawl the hands forward as you lift the right knee up and place the hands down, shifting your weight all the way into that left foot, and play around with lifting the right leg up. And then just take it back all the way, crawling back to your half Hanuman, or maybe you're even in a kneeling position with your hips sitting all the way back on the right heel. Okay, we're gonna do that a couple more times. So crawling the hands forward, place them down at the front of the mat, right leg comes up, and maybe you even find a standing split here. Keep your gaze down at the mat, somewhere between your left toes and your wrists. Crawl all the way back to your half Hanuman or your kneeling position. And one more time, maybe this time you even find a little hop into a handstand. All right. And then coming back again, we're gonna crawl the hands over to the left. And again, just kind of hang out here, move around here, explore in your body, let your body tell you what it needs. Maybe add some hip circles, maybe add some thoracic circles. Maybe ankle circles is what's doing it for you. But this is just an option because it's a bit weird and crazy. But we're gonna do the same kind of movement, but going over towards the left a little bit. So you're gonna bend into that left knee, lifting the right knee up, placing the hands down. And so we're in a kind of EPK inspired shape to move towards maybe a bit of the sort of warrior three sort of shape, taking it up to maybe a standing split kind of shape. Use your eyes, let your eyes stay fixed on a point though, where you're going, to inform your brain of where you're going. So just give that a try a few times. When you're ready, crawl the hands forward, lowering the hands down either side of the left foot, lifting up all the way up and back to your three-legged down dog. Now, lower the left toes down, but just as a kickstand, okay? Keep most of your weight on your right foot. Shift your weight into the right hand and press your shoulders towards your ears, pull the ribs in, lift the sit bones high towards the ceiling so we're creating lots of stability through the body. And can you just come up onto the fingertips of the left hand and slide the left hand underneath your face. And if at this point you want to, you can play around with lifting the left leg all the way up, but we're going to continue on with this challenge. So I do encourage you to just take it easy this first time. Crawl the left hand over to the right side of you so it crosses your body. And wherever your left leg is, lift your right heel up, start to bend the right knee, and lower that right knee down. Lower that left shoulder down and lower your left cheek down. Then take that right leg up, and if you feel comfortable to reach the right hand up, sorry, it's your left leg that's lifted, right hand, and maybe even grab hold of the foot with the hand. But no worries if you don't want to go that far, you can also have the right hand and the left toes down and just enjoy this twist. Okay, so wherever you are, maybe the left toes are down, but you're reaching the right hand up. We're all going to lower the right hand and the left toes down, tuck the toes under, and just press into the right toes enough to lift the knee up and lower the outside of the left hip onto the mat. Reach your right hand over to the right side of you, coming into a supine twist. Good job. All right, so we're just going to stay here and breathe. Bring your face over towards your right fingertips. Let your eyeballs drift over to the right side of the sockets of your eyes, just to facilitate this twist. Maybe you use this as an opportunity to give the IT band of that right leg a little sensory input, maybe a little gentle rub, even a little scratch. Maybe you want to just squeeze it, massage it, if you need to. Otherwise, you're welcome to lie here in silence and in stillness. And finally, feel free to remain in your twist, but if you want a little counter stretch, take that right knee, roll onto your back, and maybe using your right hand as support, just guide that right hip around in some circles, just circling the knee around. Maybe just enjoying a little bit of abduction of the hip, because we're doing lots of adduction, lots of internal rotation. So just enjoying a little bit of external and abduction. Wherever you are, can you just roll over onto your left side, lower the right hand down to lift up, and come all the way onto your belly with the toes tucked under. Now, chances are you're maybe a little bit off your mat towards the back. Don't just move up to the front, because I've got a fun little way that's going to help with your arm balance as we're going to move our way up to the front of the mat. So toes tucked under, and have your hands under your shoulders, all right? And can you just lift up just enough to lift your body up, and then start to straighten your elbows to shift your whole body forward, and then lower everything back down. And maybe if you need to do it again, tuck the toes under, hands under the shoulders, lift your whole body up, shift so that your hands come closer towards your elbows. And then lift all the way up and back to your downward facing dog. Good job. So, however you want to get to the front of the mat, the next thing that we're going to do is to bring our feet to the front of the mat. So maybe even just take a moment to think about it and notice how you're feeling in your body. So actually don't think about it. Let's practice not thinking and feeling instead. How does your body feel right now? What sort of movement does your body want to make to bring your feet to the front of the mat? Maybe it's a jump to handstand. Maybe you're like, you know what? I'm good with just some gentle walking. Maybe you're doing some kind of funny walk, whatever. When you're ready though, just bring the feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, and exhale, fold, bend the knees, and bring your chin to your chest. Hold your chin into your chest as you roll yourself up to stand. Finding nice flexion through the spine and slowly unraveling to a neutral position to stand in your Tadasana. Take a few grounding breaths, reaching once again the crown of the head high towards the ceiling. As you inhale, let your exhale bring your energy down through your feet, finding the stability of Mother Earth, holding you, knowing that you can trust gravity to keep you centered and calm, even if you don't have all the answers right now. All right, then hold that left thumb out in front of you, arm nice and straight. Bring your gaze to that thumb as you bring the arm up and over, finding a little twist. See if you can just push that left hip forward a little bit, maybe to deepen the twist, and then take the arm up and over back to where you began. And take it back again. This time we're going to shift our weight to the right foot. Use the left toes as a little kickstand as you bring the left thumb back to the front and all the way back behind you one more time. And then if you want to, releasing the gaze, if you need to, lift the left knee to your chest, hold on to the knee with your right hand, and bring that left thumb up and over to the front of you as you extend the left foot to the back of the mat. And then release your gaze, reach the arms away from each other. So left arm forward, right arm back. Lift that left hip up. Squeeze that left glute. So imagine you're trying to push that left sit bone forward. Maybe take your gaze over towards the right fingertips. Just looking for that nice, delicious openness through the front of the right thigh. And on your next exhale, lower the left hand down, reach the right hand up. Pause here for a breath and then spin onto the outside of the left foot. Heel toe your right foot towards the middle of the mat so you can slowly sink the hips down, reaching the right hand over the left toes. Just getting a nice little stretch here. Then lift the hips up just enough to bend the left knee. Pull the left heel a little bit closer to your butt and then crawl your hands to rise up to this weird kneeling position. So we're really looking for adduction, so crossing over, the hips facing the long side of your mat, but the right knee over to the side. And again, we're gonna add the little cat-cow movement just through the hips. If you feel like you wanna add a little bit more, you can take the right ear to the right shoulder. And maybe holding on to that cat position, so sit bones pressing forwards. Breathe here, and from there, add some hip circles as well. It'll be the tiniest little movement. It doesn't need to be much. Even if you're not feeling necessarily the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve or any kind of sensation that feels like a nerve, still good for the brain, good for the body to do this really weird movement, challenging our balance. All right. We'll come out of that, lower the left hand down, and just take the right leg and stack it on top of the left. Lower the hips down, and then 3 times lift the hips and lift that right knee, and lower all the way back down. 3, 2, 1. Good, keeping the hips low, just roll over into a sort of king cobra, upward facing dog combo, pressing the sit bones forward, pulling the ribs in slightly as you lift the upper chest towards the ceiling. Maybe your face comes up towards the ceiling. Pull your heels towards your bum though, just opening up through the front of the thighs. Then lift the hips up, take the toes under, lift the knees, and take it all back to your downward facing dog. So just like before, feel free to pedal the feet, push the hips side to side. Just do what you need to do to feel strong and stable in this downward facing dog. All right, so pressing nice and strong through the shoulders, fingers gripping. Hold on to that stability through the upper body. Pull the ribs in a little bit, but slowly lift the right heel up and lift the left leg all the way up. Bending the right knee to begin with, and then slowly, nice and gently, bend and straighten that right knee. It may be that you're moving just 1 millimeter or 0.5 millimeter in space, okay? Doesn't need to be a big movement here, just getting into that right leg a little bit. Maybe the knee stays bent and you're just working in the ankle a little bit. All right? When you're ready though, come to stillness where you feel strong and stable. Look forward, take an inhale. As you exhale, bring the left knee across your body over towards the right elbow, or maybe even above the right elbow, and then take it back. If you felt like that was just way too far a stretch, take a little hop to bring the right leg a little bit closer to your hands. Left knee once again crosses the body towards the right elbow. And this time we're gonna bend the elbows, add a little chaturanga, leaning forward, so don't be afraid to see if you can get your face over the mat. Take it back to your 3-legged down dog. Imagine you're right at the edge of a swimming pool. So as we cross that left knee over the body towards the right elbow, the elbows bend. Imagine you're just trying to see how deep that swimming pool is, and you're just like, just need to lean forward a little bit more. Maybe you even find a little balance there. But lower the left foot down, just behind the hands. Crawl the hands to the middle of the mat. So right foot stays flat, opening up through the outside of that right ankle. Keep the hips low as you just shimmy over to the other side. And however you like, just shimmy back and forth. Another time or 2 or 3. But we'll finish at the back of the mat, just like before. Take the hands off to the back of the mat. Lift the hips up as much as you need to kind of maneuver your way around. But again, with the hands flat, play around with bending the elbows. If you can get both elbows in contact with that right thigh, I think that just makes it a lot easier. And maybe your hips lift up and you just think about it. Maybe you're just thinking about it at this point. Maybe leaning enough to lift that left leg up, right toes stay down. Maybe you're already in an arm balance, or maybe you're just chilling out, enjoying your twist. Wherever you are, lift the hands up and just spin everything back to the front of the mat and crawl your hands forward, coming into this low lunge, letting the left knee drift over the left toes. So you still got plenty of weight down on that right knee. Should be fine. If it feels uncomfortable for you, don't let me tell you what to do, but allow that left quad to get this stretch that goes beyond the 90-degree position. Find a nice opening through the front of the thigh. Take it back to your half Hanuman and take the hands over towards the left, and feel free to add, just like before, little ankle circles, especially opening up through the outside of the left ankle. Maybe you add that sensory input, just giving the IT band a little rub. Can you place the left hand flat? Doesn't matter where. Reach the right hand up, tuck the right toes under to lift that knee up, and see if you can just bend into the left knee and press your hips forward. Even if that right knee needs to come way out to the side for it to happen, just play around with it. See if you can get that movement going. And then pausing back in your half Hanuman position, lower both hands down to the mat, wherever you can, wherever they need to be. Lift the left knee up so you can lean over, bending the elbows, and then find maybe, a little balance. Remember, maybe we were just playing around with it to begin with, just looking for something that resembles kind of going towards an Eka Pada Koundinyasana 1. Then reaching the right hand up, lift the right knee up, press the hips through, slide that right foot to meet the left, lower the right hand down, reach the left arm up, bring the left elbow into the right IT band, and then looking down at where you're going, lower that left hand down, lean forward. So shoulders go beyond the fingers, like there's a little ant that you're crawling. You're just so cute, you want to see it. Keep the chest up though, you don't want to get too close to your ant. So just playing around with this, but we're going to play around with it in a way that, see if you can kind of maneuver yourself so that your right leg is pointing to the front of your mat, your left heels and toes are kind of pulling towards the back of the mat. So as you come down, you're able to pretty easily just shimmy yourself into a half Hanuman, once again, this time with the right leg forward. All right, so take a moment here, breathe. With the left toes tucked under, crawl your hands towards the front of the mat, maybe even off the mat. Hands go down, gaze is down, lift that left leg up. Maybe lean some weight into the hands and come all the way back into that kneeling position. So 2 more like that. So maybe the next time we go into a standing split from that half Hanuman kneeling position. And maybe if you feel ready for it, you even add a little hop to a handstand. All right. So playing around with that. And when you're ready, we're going to try, if you want to, playing around with the same kind of movements over to the right. So just like before, maybe you just kind of ease into it, go into maybe a warrior 3 type shape, just lifting that left leg up. And then maybe you go a little bit higher, hands a little bit closer to the left foot, finding a little bit more of a standing split shape. Maybe you're just playing around with that, but maybe you can even add a little hop. And so you hop in a twist up to your handstand. Coming back through center though, from your half Hanuman, we'll just crawl the hands forward, framing the right foot, lift the left knee up so you can take that right leg all the way back into your 3-legged down dog. Lower just the toes down, it's going to serve as our kickstand. Press nice and firm through the left shoulder. Pull the ribs in. So imagine you're blowing out your birthday candles, if that helps. Just pull the ribs in, but lift the tailbone, the sit bones high towards the ceiling. And shift your weight into that left hand so you can come up onto the fingertips of the right hand, slide the hand beneath your face, and then crawl the hand over to the left. And slowly, without changing the position of your foundation, just lower the left knee down, lower the right shoulder, lower the right cheek, and maybe you reach the left hand up and the right foot up, and they meet. Maybe you're in a different variation where you feel a little bit more stable. But remember, we're inviting these balance challenges into our practice today to remind ourselves that we can trust ourselves. Because if you fall, it's fine. We're allowed to make mistakes. So lowering the right toes and the left hand down, just tuck the left toes under, lifting the knee up just enough to lower the hips down and roll over, keeping that left knee over your mat, taking the left hand all the way over to the left side of you in this reclined twist. Just like before, feel free to just chill out here. Use your eyes flicking over to the left side of your eye sockets to facilitate this twist if you feel you need that. There's also the option to just give your left IT band a good squeeze. So we have different types of receptors in the brain that pick up on different types of sensation. So there's sort of a vibration and tickling, but we also have baroreceptors which detect pressure. And so it's a different input, basically, as far as your brain is concerned, to squeeze and put pressure onto a body part than it is to rub, for example. So maybe if the rubbing's not doing it for you, you try some squeezing. All right, just like before, you're welcome to stay in this twist, but if you want to, you can roll out of it and just give that left hip a chance to open up, go into that external rotation and abduction. Maybe just circling the knee in a few circles. All right, wherever you are though, we're just gonna roll back over onto our belly using the left hand to lift the chest up enough to release the right hand. Toes tuck under, maybe you're towards the back of your mat, I know I am. So just like before, toes tuck under, squeeze your glutes to pull the belly in, and then shift everything forward. Just a tiny little move, but it's the kind of movement that we need for our arm balances, that bravery and courage to shift forward. And then from there, just lift everything up and back into your downward facing dog. Wonderful job. So it's up to you how you want to bring your feet to the front of the mat. Maybe you want to take a child's pose and just chill out there for a bit. Whenever you're ready though, however you get there, don't let it be your ego that makes the decision, but rather your body. Bring your feet all the way to the front of the mat. Take an inhale to find length. And exhale, bending the knees, rounding the spine. Bring your chin to your chest. And roll yourself up to stand. Coming back into a nice, strong Tadasana. Take a few deep breaths in and out. And once again, when you're ready, take your right thumb straight out in front of you. Take it up and over, keeping your gaze on your thumb as you take it back behind you. And this time, if you want to add on to your challenge, shift your weight into your left foot and hold on to the gaze on your thumb as you bring your right knee into your chest. Hold on to that knee. Hold on to the gaze as you bring the right arm forward and take the right foot to the back of the mat. Your gaze is still on that thumb as your left arm reaches to the back of your mat. Your right hip activates to lift up. And hold on to the gaze as you reach the right arm straight up towards the ceiling. Your left hand can come down to the back of your right leg. Take an inhale here and exhale.
Inhale again. Breathe nice and deep through the right side body. And exhale, maybe find a little bit more depth, breathing. Again, releasing the gaze if you need to for balance, but holding on to it if you can. Good, and then lowering the right hand all the way down. Release the gaze once your hand is on the mat. Reach the left arm up and find the gaze of your left thumb. Release that now and come onto the outside of your left foot, straight into a side plank. Bring the left foot to stack on top of the right, and your option here is you can repeat what we did before with the knees bent and down, or keep them lifted from a side plank as we lower the hips down towards the wrist, staying sideways, and then lift up the leg as you lift the hips up for 3, 2, good, last one. As you lower the hips, lower, keep them low as you take the left hand down, coming into an upward facing dog. So just like before, even if your knees are down and pulling your heels to your butt like we did before, or you're in your up dog with the toes tucked under, think about pressing your pubic bone and your sit bones forward towards the wrists, coming out of the low back as much as possible as you find a little bit of extension through the upper spine, and then crunch through the abdominals to bring everything up and back into your downward facing dog. Find stability here, press those shoulders up towards the ears, pull the ribs in. Use your gaze to let you know where you're going. So first we'll lift the right leg up into a 3-legged down dog. Take an inhale. As you exhale, bring your gaze forward as you shift everything forward. Right knee comes to the back of the left arm. Judge, can I get to an arm balance from here, or do I need to shorten my stance? And if so, as you come into your 3-legged down dog, shorten your stance, and this time, maybe it's really short. This time, bring the right knee across your body towards the left, pivot around, twist. If you're in a really short stance, do what you need to do. See if you can bring your elbows underneath you and shift into your hands. So even if you are needing to lower your right foot down and come at it from more of a side crow kind of position, what you're looking for is lifting the chest up, but pushing those shoulders forward. So gaze moves forward as you trust yourself and trust your fingertips to hold you. Lift the left leg up. Keep that left leg extended to the back of the mat. The right toes come down underneath your body, next to your hands. Take the hands all the way up over you. You can have them down on the mat to support you, or keep them hands free as you shift your weight to the back of the mat. And then back to the front and to the back, taking the hands down here. So just another way to get into an Eka Para Koundinyasana. And this variation, really helpful if you're not thinking about trying to get your left toes up at this point, but rather just trying to make contact with your left hip on your elbows, and then think about lifting the right leg up, and that's where you can go from. Then as you allow your chest to lift up, so not going down, but up, but also forward, away from your mat, maybe you find a weightlessness through that left foot. All right, so coming back to your Skandasana, we're just going to spin to face the front of the mat and come into your Anjaneyasana. Let that right knee go over the toes, reach the left arm up and over, find a little twist. Hold that twist as you shift back into this like exaggerated half Hanuman. So forward and back a few times. And as you do it, maybe you find that right hand lowers down and the left knee can lift up. So you can make this same movement a few times, keeping the right hand down. You're welcome if you want to use this in the club. And then can you lower the left hand down, bend to the elbows, and almost even fall into the shelf that you're creating with your upper arms. Feet go back down in that half Hanuman position. Left arm reaches up, hips press forward, drag the left foot to meet the right, lower the left hand down, reach the right arm up, pull the left heel the left knee towards your right elbow, look down toward your left hand so you can lower the left arm, the right hand down
shift again into your hands. Play around with just finding a weightlessness in that right leg. And because at this point, if you're just going kind of straight up into it, it's not quite an EPK, so see if you can bend the right knee, straighten the left. So still not quite an EPK, whatever. Lowering the right foot down, left leg is forward. I know, it's really hard. So half Hanuman with the left leg forward. Take a few breaths here, I know I need it. Wiggle around, maybe bend and straighten that left knee. Pull the toes towards you and then point them away from you. Just getting into that sciatic nerve. There's many different branches of the sciatic nerve, and so sometimes it's worth just kind of playing around with these little different movements of bringing the sole of the foot to one side or the other, pointing the toe or flexing it, the ankle I should say, just to find where maybe we need a little bit more TLC. But when you're ready, we're going to play around with our hops to handstand from here, from the back of the mat. And you're invited to challenge your balance again with a gaze fixation on your left toe. So as you move, maybe just to a warrior three with hands down, or a standing split, or even if you're doing a hop, see if you can keep your gaze on the left toe the whole time. So even if you go fully into a handstand, left toe stays your focal point. All right, no matter where you are. And then if you want to, we'll add the twist. So hands go over to the left as we work on lifting that right leg up. All right. Maybe your fingertips only come down. That's totally cool. Okay, wherever you are, just add the extra balance challenge, if you want to, of keeping your gaze on the left toe. All right, and then we'll finish just back in that half Hanuman to take the hands to the front of the mat, lifting the leg all the way up and back into our three-legged down dog. Now, you can do here what we did before, where you use your left toes down as a kickstand. If you really want to challenge yourself though, you're invited to keep your left leg lifted the whole time. You're going to shift your weight into your right hand. Your right heel is going to come up, ready to bend the right knee. But first, we come onto the fingertips of the left hand, slide the left hand back behind us, under the face, and then all the way over to the right side as we slowly lower that right knee down. The left shoulder comes down, the left cheek comes down. Maybe you stay here, maybe you've had enough, you lower the left toes down, or you find contact between the left hand, the right hand, and the left foot. All right, wherever you are, left toes, right hand, come down, lift the right knee up to lower the hips, and roll into your reclined twist. Oh, you deserve this little break. It's a tough sequence. All those EPKs thrown at you, one after the other. You're doing a great job. This is not easy. And the thing with learning the lesson of trust, I've discovered in my own personal life, is that you have to allow things to be maybe a little bit messy. So many of us that are a bit control freaky, we like things to be neat and tidy, don't we? We like things to feel ordered. And allowing things to just get a little bit messy. Like maybe you feel like your practice in this class just feels messy. It feels like it's all over the place. And that's okay. Let it be messy. All right, when you're ready, take that right knee over to the right side of you, rolling on to your back. Add a few hip circles. Or maybe there's some other movement that you want to make. Maybe your wrists or what you're focusing on, whatever. You know your body. You can trust your body. Wherever you are, though, we're going to roll over onto our bellies.
And just do our little chaturanga walks to center ourselves back onto the mat. And if you do struggle with building the trust to lean over, to look over that proverbial swimming pool edge, these can be a great way to start. Maybe even coming up higher, just rocking in your chaturanga, because that is the exact movement that we need for our arm balances. For now though, we'll tuck the toes under, take it back to your downward facing dog, and bring your feet to the front of the mat in whatever way that your body feels is best for you right now. Just take this as another little opportunity to practice listening to your body over ego. So whenever you're ready, feet to the front of the mat. Once you're there, take an inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold down. And look at me, I'm adding sensory input without even thinking about it. Give your back, the legs a little rub if you're like me and you just feel like that's necessary. When you're ready to roll all the way up to stand. Find that nice strong Tadasana and give me a thumbs up with your left thumb. Bring your gaze to your left thumb. Hold on to that point as you bring the left arm up and over, back behind you. Holding it there, we're going to shift the weight into the right foot. Bring the left knee into your chest and just see if you can balance with your gaze fixed on that left thumb. And take it all the way back to the center, to the front. Sorry, it's really hard to talk and do this. And then back behind you. Allow yourself to wobble and fall. This is all part of the learning. This is all part of the vestibular system drill that I'm making you do. That's what this is. It's meant to help you balance a little bit better. All right. So wherever you are, see if you can find a balance. Kind of, even if you're not twisted all the way around, even if your arm is over to the side rather than back behind you, see if you can pull that left knee into your chest. And take the left arm forward as you take the left leg back into your revolved lunge, keeping your focal point on the left thumb as you extend the right arm to the back. Take an inhale, hold on to that focal point as you reach the left arm up to the ceiling. You can let the right hand rest on the back of your left leg. Pull that left hip up and forward a little bit as you take a nice deep breath in. And exhale. 3 deep, deep breaths in, especially through the left side body. And maybe even make the inhale nice and quick. Good. Hold on to the gaze just for a little bit longer as you lower the left hand down next to the right foot. Once it's there, release the gaze, reach the right arm up to the ceiling. Maybe grab hold of the gaze of your right thumb for a moment. Lift that left hip up towards the ceiling. Good, then release the gaze just like before. Come into the outside of the left foot and slide your right foot back to stack on top of the left in a side plank. Lower the knees down like we did before if you want, or keep them lifted as we lower the hips towards the wrist. Then lift the hips up and the right foot at the same time. Definitely a balance challenge here. So knees bent and down, or taking it up like a million notches, doing it this way. One more time. All the way to your Vashisthasana and then down. Keep the hips low as you roll over into your upward facing dog. Come out of the low back, pressing your hips into a sort of a cat pose. So finding an openness through the front of the thighs rather than crunching to the back as you lift your chest and your face up. Take an inhale. Use the exhale to crunch the abdominals closed and find a downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. And then lifting the left leg up. Start to shift your gaze forward as you lift your head, shifting the shoulders forward, bringing the left knee across your body, over to the right elbow. Just assess, could you go into an arm balance from there? If not, take the left leg up and back, shorten the stance, and then bring that left knee across your body one more time. Even if it's like super short and you end up just gonna sort of sideways twisty squat to come at your EPK from that side crow position. All right, so that's totally an option if you want to work on it from the 3-legged down dog
A shorter stance will get you there as long as you can. Then find that contact, bend the elbows. Like always, shifting your chest, your gaze forward and up. See if you can lift that right leg up. Maybe the left leg also extends. Oh, that is a challenging entry for me, at least, into EPK1. So well done, however you did it, whatever you did. We'll come into our Skandasana and then just shift the weight over to the back of the mat. Stay there, or maybe with me one more time, just back and forth, just to kind of reset everything. Ready for our EPK over here from this entry. So this one, perhaps a little bit easier. As I've mentioned, just lifting the hips up, bending the elbows, finding contact. Then it's a matter of lifting the left leg up with the right leg still down. And you can kind of use that to help you shift your weight into your hands. And then maybe the right foot comes up. All right, so I don't know how people do it if they can't balance on both elbows. Balancing on just one elbow for me is just not happening. So, you know, we're all kind of working with what we've got and trusting the process, right? So from wherever you are, spin around and bend into the left knee, coming into our Anjaneyasana. Reach the left arm up and over to the back. Reach the right arm forward. Hold on to that twist as you shift the weight back towards your left hips. Your hips back towards the right heel, oh my gosh. And forward and back a few times. Maybe bring your gaze down to the floor where your left hand is going to lower. Use your left leg coming up off of the mat, maybe even swinging out to the side to push the hips through a few times, just kind of getting that movement going. All right. And then back to your half Hanuman. We are in the thick of it here. All of these arm balances thrown at you all at once. So just remember, you're here for the challenge. Maybe you're not here for the challenge, but you are being challenged perhaps. And either way, it's not about the situation, but rather how you respond to the situation that you're in. So when you're ready, lifting up enough to lower the hips down onto the shelf that you create with your arms and into just whatever's happening for you at this point. Reach that right hand up, lift the right knee up, press the hips forward, drag your right foot to meet the left, lower the right hand down, the left arm comes up, pull the left knee and lock it in to the outside of that left elbow, or underneath the left elbow. Look down at where you're going. One more arm balance here. So lowering that left hand down, shifting your weight over the fingertips. And just like before, what we're aiming to do is really go into EPK from here. So that means right now your left leg is to the front of the mat. I'm going to try and bring that left leg to the back of the mat and the right leg, the right toes forward. So even if you're not coming up into an arm balance, see if you can just maybe lean a little bit of weight and switch the legs. Something like that. So we can come around and find a half Hanuman with the right leg forward. Whew. Allow your practice to be messy. Trust the process. Sometimes things have to get messy before they get neat and orderly. All right, so just like before, we're going to just play around with walking the hands forward and lifting that left leg up. That's the basics. That's it, if that's all you want to do, okay? And you're invited to keep your gaze on your right big toe as you do that, okay? So maybe that's all you're working with. Maybe you want to just lower the chest a bit more, lifting that left leg higher into a standing split. Or if you want to, if you're already practicing handstands, especially, this is really challenging. If you're just starting to learn handstands, I encourage you to keep your gaze down at the mat. But if you want a bit more of a challenge in your handstand practice, maybe practice keeping your gaze fixed on that big toe as you kick up to handstand. I myself find handstands comparatively so easy after all those EPKs. All right, so just like before, if you want to, just adding a twist, a bit of funkiness, you can play around with maybe a little entry into Warrior 3, standing split handstand with the twist. When you're ready though, coming back to your half Hanuman, we'll just rock everything forward to take that right leg up and back into your three-legged down dog. So make sure you're nice and stable here. With the left heel lifted, press through that left shoulder, pull the ribs in. Lower the right toes down as a kickstand if you want to. Remember, it's just an added challenge to keep the right leg lifted. Come onto the fingertips of the right hand, slide the right hand underneath your face, and then over to the left. Start to bend nice and slowly. The left knee to lower it down. Shoulders are going to come forward. Then lower the right shoulder down. And find your threaded needle position here. So, left arm and right leg can be lifted, or maybe you have them lowered. Up to you. One more breath here. And then everybody lower the toes, lower the left hand, just to pick up the left knee and lower the hips down and roll into your reclined twist that you very much earned. Whew. So as you lie here, you're reminded just to once more invite yourself to trust. If you start to look for it, it shows up everywhere in life, in all aspects. It doesn't have to just be the big events. Although it helps if you've got a good sense of trust when shit really hits the fan. But the way that we hone that sense of trust is in the everyday, mundane instances where we can just catch ourselves trying to grip tightly onto control of something that we don't really have control of. And say, I trust that everything's going to be okay. I trust that I can handle whatever happens. You're invited to come out of your twist if you're still there and just open up, counter stretch your body in like a little reclined tree pose or whatever. When you're ready though, roll over onto your belly. And we'll just do one more time, a little crawl forward, back to center yourself onto the mat. And from here you can make a pillow with your hands and just go ahead and go straight into your final resting position. Maybe you just stay here in your final resting position, and maybe you just stay here lying on your belly, eyes closed. But if you feel you need a little bit more time to cool down, or maybe you want to move to a different position, you can take the right arm out wide, out to the right side of you as you roll onto your right hip. Just taking a little counter stretch, reaching the right hand behind you. You could even grab the left foot with the right hand, little back bend. And rolling back through center, extend the left arm over to the left side, roll onto the left side body, just giving the left pec a nice stretch. Getting the chest open, and if you want the extra front body stretch, just take the right leg back behind you. Maybe you grab it with the right hand, maybe you can find the right foot with your left hand. It's just an option. And then releasing that, you're invited to, again, just stay on your belly, or if you prefer to lie on your back, You can roll over onto your back for your Shavasana. And take a moment as well just to make sure that there's no final movements that you feel you need in your body, so that you can lie in stillness for this well-earned Shavasana. So allow your shoulders to drift away from your ears and move downwards into the mat, melting into the floor. The rest of your body following. Finding softness. A sense of surrender. We're made to think that holding a tight grip of control is a sign of strength. But for many of us, the practice really begins where we must surrender. Soften. And lean into the feeling of vulnerability. In order that we can trust this deep wisdom within us. And trusting others, trusting our children, our partners, our colleagues. And trusting the people that we need. To make our lives keep ticking along. Trusting that every single one of us is doing our best. That every single one of us makes mistakes. But every single one of us can improve and be better than we were yesterday. As you lie here for a few minutes longer, notice if you can release any more tension that you're still holding in your body. Notice if you can release any more tension that you're still holding mentally or emotionally. And you're invited to continue lying here, softening and surrendering, creating this space in your being for total trust.
And only when you're ready to make your way into the rest of your day, you can move with this softness and with this sense of trust into whatever life holds for you next. Please feel free to stay where you are and rest for as long as you can. But I will say now, for now, thank you for joining me. Thank you for trusting me. And I hope to see you on the mat again soon. Namaste.